My name is Kevin Moore, and this is the story of Calidus on the fateful day in which Mount Vesuvius erupted. The day was August 24th, 79 AD, and the Thracian gladiator Calidus was in for a routine day which consists of being woken up at the crack of dawn to be let out of a locked cell in the gladiator barracks. After being unlocked, Calidus was served a high concentrated protein breakfast to prepare himself for daily training, which took place in the courtyard of the gladiator barracks. This is the courtyard of the barracks where Calidus and other gladiators would train with dull weapons such as wooden swords to become the best fighters that people could watch for entertainment. Calidus was the most famous gladiator in Pompeii and had become quite the star among the common people, especially the girls. Calidus was the star of Pompeii due to his success in gladiatorial combat. He was given a couple of nicknames along the way after his success. He was often called Calidus, the girls' idol, or Calidus, the heart throb of all the girls. However, his heart belonged to one girl in particular, Camilla. Camilla was a beautiful, rich woman who was a daughter of one of the richest men in Pompeii. However, these two cannot be together, even though they share the same feelings for each other, because one is a slave gladiator and the social classes do not allow these two to be together. Calidus was training for his next battle at the amphitheater in just 2 weeks, but all of a sudden training was interrupted. The loudest bang shot across everyone's ears. Calidus hitting the ground from the earth starting to rumble. He was quickly shaken by the earthquake and the roar of the volcano. He quickly regained his ground and scanned the scene. He looked to the northwest and saw a column of smoke building in the sky as it branched out higher and higher in the atmosphere. All of this was coming from Mount Vesuvius. The smoke began to cover some of the sunlight. Calidus stared in awe, for he has only heard of Mount Vesuvius erupting in stories that he was told as a child. Decimus Lucretius Valens owned much of the gladiators in Pompeii and wanted to protect his investments for the upcoming games in the amphitheater. So he sent Calidus and all the other gladiators back in their cells so that they would not escape from all the chaos that was going on in the city during the volcanic eruption. Decimus was nowhere to be found. Calidus knew he had to get out of the gladiator barracks, and the first thing that came across his mind was going to find his love, Camilla. The sky was getting darker and darker, and still no sign of Decimus. Calidus kicks the door open with brute strength to escape the barracks to go find his love at her house in the city. Calidus noticed that the sky was almost completely black when volcanic ash started to cover the streets. He started to run, still in some of the armor that he had been training in. He ran so fast, getting through the crowds and down side streets in order to find Camilla. Calidus looked down every side street and bar to find his love. Eventually, he arrived at her home, and she wasn't there. When he found out that Camilla wasn't there, Calidus thought to himself that she might have gotten out of the city and escaped the volcanic eruption. So he started to make his way back to the gladiator barracks to obtain the money that he had been saving in his cell to escape the city. He had obtained this money from various fights that he had completed and won in gladiator battles. Calidus started to breathe harder and harder as he ran through the crowded streets with volcanic ash dripping down. He kept running and draining his energy. He stopped for a moment to catch his breath, but it was difficult. This was odd to him because he is in great shape, because all he does is train to be a gladiator, but he was breathing in ash. Eventually, Calidus made his way back to the barracks and noticed that Camilla was waiting for him in his cell. She must have gotten back to the barracks when Calidus was gone looking for her. She was heartbroken over the thought that Calidus could have left her. He sprints over to her. The two lovers embrace for a moment when Calidus drops to the ash-covered floor. Calidus could not catch his breath because of the volcanic ash in the air. He looks at Camilla, begging her to save her own life and run as Calidus breathes his last breath. Camilla just lost the love of her life and lost all hope as she realizes that it is too late to leave the city. So she lays down next to Catullus and curls up in her jewelry covered body as the volcanic ash covered the barracks, leaving the two lovers buried forever.